Hello, everyone. Welcome to Google Developer Space channel. Hello. Yeah. Hi, Terrence. Hi, Wei Ching.
Hi,
Hello.
Lawrence.
Hello. Hello. Yeah. So just give the audience a couple more seconds, for them to come online. Yeah. So and then today we're really happy to actually host AI's space. Yeah. Thank you so much for organizing this event again. Yeah. Okay, so maybe we can start now, and then so thank you everyone for joining the session tonight. So tonight we'll be hosting AI Space, and they have put together a very nice event again, to teach you all about the AI industry. Yeah, so and this event, right, is actually in celebration of International Women Days, and then AI Space is hosting a panel, sharing with our AI founders. Yeah. So, and later on, if you have any questions for the speakers, please feel free to actually put your questions in the comment section, and then we will address it after the panel. Yeah. So, before I begin, let me briefly introduce who we are and what we do. Okay, so Google Developer Space is a platform for developers and startup around the region to learn, connect, engage, and be inspired. Yeah, I'm Lawrence from Google Developer Relations team, and as part of the developer relations team, we aim to empower and connect the community with our people, programs, network, and technologies, be in person or online like today. Yeah. So if you actually like our content, please stay connect with us by liking our Facebook page, a YouTube channel, and follow our Twitter account. Yeah. So without further ado, I will hand the stage over to Terence to introduce AI Space.
All right, thanks, Lawrence. So AI Space is a community of AI enthusiasts looking to build meaningful and impactful careers in AI. So here in AI Space, you'll find fellow enthusiasts from many different stages in their AI journey, from beginners all the way to the experts, and also from various different backgrounds. So for myself, I'm from electrical engineering. We also have people from many different backgrounds, such as engineering, maybe arts, and so on. Yeah, so here at AI Space, we are very welcoming to anyone who is looking to enter the AI industry, the AI space, and looking to jumpstart their career. So next slide, please. So we look forward to having you with us in AI Space. Here is our LinkedIn, Telegram, and Discord, where we frequently post updates to exciting new events that we are having. And we look forward to seeing you there. So with us, with me today, we have three amazing female founders on our panel, along with Wei Ching, female founder of AI Space herself. So first up, we have Anastasia, founder and CEO of Anastasiatech. We also have with us, next slide, please. We also have with us Sharala, founder and CEO of the Center of Applied Data Science. And with us, we also have Yihui, founder of Toph.ai. So these three amazing female founders, along with our moderator Beijing, will be having the panel discussion. And we look forward to answering the toughest questions you have. So now we'll move on to Anastasia, who will share with us more about her background.
Hello,
Anastasia,
everyone.
please.
Nice to have a live webinar. I've been doing live already last year, and it's so great to participate in such a, I would say, mature place with other speakers. Let me share a bit of my background. I'm Anastasia, originally from St. Petersburg, Russia. Moved to Singapore 6 years ago. Worked for family office as a head of innovation, where we've been developed robo-advisor platform. As audience, I think, know what is that. It's such as a tool with AI behind that help you to manage your finance and actually create your financial goals without no human interaction. And it's how my journey started to AI space. For the last 2 years, I've been developing my company here in Singapore. And the main focus of my company is to develop product in a web mobile platform. And of course, behind putting AI and computer vision to automatize all the processes and to prevent, I would say, the manual work and help to have more creative space for yourself and for the team. If we talk about what is the story behind why is AI, why like I'm in AI space, it started when I was a kid, actually, when I've been participating in a different competitions with technical stuff, with informatical technology. Actually, my school also been a place where we had a lot of hours of informational technology, and it's how my journey started, like from the kids and from the school. I've been already in this space where everything been related with machine, with technology, and moreover, I have a passion to solve different problem, to compete with different participants, especially with the men. It was my big passion, I would say. And for now, I'm here in Singapore, and I love this place a lot. I mean, it's a great environment, especially for the people who prefer to develop innovative product or platform and collaborate with different people and sharing the knowledge, sharing the background, inspire the people, inspire the society, show as an example of how the problems can be solved in a different methods, I would say. Now, on top of my job that it's related with the AI and with developing different product to actually help the current business to make the business process, to manage the process in a smooth way. I'm also creating a community that helping to involve more women into tech space. And later on, we will launch actually a product that will be in AI based, that help any woman from any background to be a part of this a nice technical space where you can actually find your passion, where you can find a profession, where you can feel that it's your place, it's your right place, I would say. And I hope more like geeks, girls in the future will be more and more. And this is it's what actually I've been working now for the last like 6 months. And we already been doing several live also webinar that is related with a job in a tech space. And we are happy to bring more people on board, to bring more expert. And if anyone wants to understand about the tech space, about the data scientist, about the AI, about the profession, I'm happy to guide through my community, through my products that we are developing now, and to show how amazing the world in tech space, and how you can actually find your right seat, because many, I would say, women, they're a bit they're afraid, they don't know about technology and they think, oh, it's actually it's all about men, and I cannot be so successful as a man. But actually, no need to compete with a man. You should collaborate with a man. You should negotiate with a man. You should talk with a man. And through the collaboration, through the approach that we are equal, you can also build yourself, your, I would say, your personality, and inspire more people, inspire more women to deep dive into AI space, into tech space. And that's actually where the future is. And I've been guiding many women who is completely from another background, just to understand what is a potential scenario of how to find a job, how to get paid well, to be financially independent as well. And in my community, we have I would say, several crucial points that it's about agility, it's about freedom, it's about sustainability, it's about equality. And after our session, I would be happy to share more detail. And moreover, we are not only talking about women in Singapore, or we are talking about women in Russia, or women in France or US. We're talking about the global community, because it's no border with the internet, with the COVID. We must collaborate. We must share the knowledge. We must collaborate in a very, I would say, good way to develop things, to develop things competitively, and it's what about my community? I think that's it for now.
All right. Thanks, Anastasia. Next up, we will have Sharala, who will be sharing more about her journey in the AI space.
Hey, thank you, Terence. Thank you, Lawrence. Awesome start, Anastasia. I think it's so important we talk about this, talk about women being in AI, women being in tech, women being in STEM. So let me start off. I got some slides just to prop what I'm going to talk about. So my name is Sharala Agsreed, and I'm the founder and CEO of CATS. It's short for Center of Applied Data Science. We're headquartered in, Raffles Boulevard, Singapore. And of course, we have a presence in ASEAN. We have in Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines. Our team is, it's a global setup, so it's always an ambition to be global. But I think one of the most important thing I always want to share is why CATS started, why I started CATS, and why this is important for people to understand the purpose behind what we created, okay? It has always been created because in ASEAN, and I come from this part of the world, that we wanted to ensure that people have economic of scale in this region and have an opportunity and contribute towards the betterment of data science and the digital economy that we are talking about. ASEAN is the 6th or the 7th largest GDP in the world. And if only we can embrace the digital economy, we have a potential to become the 4th largest GDP in the world. Did you all know that we are also the 3rd youngest population in the world after China and India? And that makes it really exciting. Why? I lived abroad. As you can see, my last name is Agsreed. I lived in Sweden, and when I came back, this is the very key purpose why CATS has started. And it's all about sustainability and scalability. We started somewhere in 2013, 2014, before the pandemic. Industry 4.0 was going to happen anyways, but fortunately or unfortunately, the pandemic expedited the need for data science, and I'll be talking more about data literacy. And I'm glad to share this with you, right? Sadly, I have to address the job losses overnight in 2019. Two-thirds of the businesses in this part were affected, almost immediately, and 1/6 of these businesses ceased to exist because of the COVID-19. You have to remember, right? We are 600 million in population, and our GDP comes from SMEs, 40% and above, Singapore, Indonesia, and the overnight job losses are real. 81 million jobs just vanished for the past 2 years. So this puts a big, dent to our economy, to our livelihood, and it's also a social issue. As we talk about the job losses, we always cease to talk, we always forget, I say, to talk about the jobs that the digital economy has created. By 2025, we will have 149 million new jobs created that ASEAN is not prepared for. So I think, this is fantastic what AI Space is doing, getting two other amazing women founded to be in this talk, to encourage more women to be in the workforce, to encourage more women to be in STEM. And this is the real reason why all of us have to hear about the job that it creates. So when we talk about Industry 4.0, we cannot not talk about, we talk about digital skills. But what in CATS we have found out is everybody is born, especially my children, anybody who have kids in the age below, 18. These kids are born with digital skills, right? I joke about my kids, I have digital nanny. I cannot live without the iPad. When they were younger, if I were going to have a meal. So digital literacy is so wide, and it is not even a topic anymore. What is really important for the digital workforce that we're talking about is to have the core skills, is why we call it data literacy. Gartner, one of Girls' renowned research company, has categorized data literacy being the core skills of a digital literacy. Yeah. So CATS is one of the only Asia company that's been named in that. And let me talk about what does that mean. I mean, you guys come from data science, and AI Space is all about startup and tech. And every one of you, including data scientists, AI, guys, data engineers, data literacy, to be able to work, walk, talk, and breathe data is so important. Now you have the skills, you have the Python, you can write algorithm, you can write R coding, but to be able to tell a story in data, to be able to make it business impact, it's important for every one of you to be able to become data literate, to be able to understand the business behind why this data matters. We also work a lot with schools because it's very important to talk about data literacy. It has to be like maths for every kid out there, because any kid that started school from 2016 onwards, 2/3 of them will not have a job that we know what's going to exist. So having them enabled to become allow them to become innovative down the road, to embrace any job losses, to be able to take new job that's required by digital economy is so important. Yeah. So what we did in CATS last year, we started a project called Project 2100. So this is the skills that's required for the 21st century, and we're 20 years into it, remaining 80 years more to go. And why it's important to have a sustainable ecosystem. So Project 2100 is to build a nation at a time. Anyone that has a phone that has internet access, which means no child should be left behind. And in our CATS AI platform, you can go in and you can log in and you will get free education to become a data literate. So this is a huge task that we have taken upon ourselves. And it's an important task to be able to create a sustainable workforce, especially with the job losses in due to COVID. But as I said, about 150 million jobs that would be created, and I want us to be ready for that. Now, as we talk about no child should be left behind, analytics and data and data literacy is all about equality, right? There's no biasness when it comes to data. And women is so important that we embrace it, because we think that we need to be in STEM in order to embrace this. And you would have heard, I think, Terrence talk about it. He's an engineer. I come from an engineering background. And I remember, when I wanted to become an engineer, my mom's biggest concern was who will marry me, right? And I come from an Indian family, and if it's a man's job, other men would not want. Of course, many, many years later, someone did marry me, and I do have 2 kids. But this is a common issue among Asian women in this part of the world. I get this all the time. Do I choose ambition versus career? So nowadays, I go around and talk about, we started something, data for her, to allow more women, especially those who have stayed-at-home mom, who have kids, and then they are so insecure in getting back to the workforce. And we are there to help them, because you can work. Data enables you to work from anywhere, and digital nomad is what we're trying to create in ASEAN. So I think every woman needs to stay in the workforce. Now we talk about women in STEM. Singapore is pretty good in having almost 40% equality to be the workforce in Singapore. But what happens is, to have a greater GDP, like, I lived in Sweden. Scandinavia has about 49% women in the workforce, men around 51%, yeah? So if you look at one of the affected countries in this part of the world, Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, equality in workforce is a big issue. So having said that, we have data for her, for women who want to be part of this journey. Data has no biasness, and I'm looking forward for the panel. Terrence is out warning us our 5 minutes is up. So I kept to my promise, I hope, Terrence. So yeah, thank you. Looking forward for the panel session.
Thanks, Sharala, for the amazing sharing. Next up, we will have Wei.
Hi everyone. Thank you so much, Sharala and Anastasia, for your sharing. So just a quick context about me. I am the only one who didn't study engineering here. My background is actually in the arts. So what I do is I design infographics live at scale. So this is an example about how we translate our content live from a live conference, say a webinar like this, then I had draw on the side, into an infographic like this that is quickly shared online as animated GIFs, or as social media content, or as a PDF if you don't want to read or pay attention to the webinar. So next slide. So what I'm building right now is an AI software that basically tries to turn all text documents into one-page infographics. And if you're curious, you can check us out at tof.art, where you can sign up as a waitlist, play with our demo, and just figure out how far AI can one day go to basically turn your exam notes into one-page infographics. Yeah. So I think I would share a bit more about my personal experience as a founder, because I run 2 businesses. So Idea Inc. is my hand-drawn graphics business, and it's been around for 5-6 years. And we count clients like Bain, KPMG, Google, LinkedIn, Meta, and a lot of other like tech clients. And I think that what's interesting about my business is we also invest a lot into technology, which means that even though I focus on the arts, I focus on storytelling, and we play with a lot of technologies like virtual reality, augmented reality, Internet of Things, and different types of emerging technologies. So one thing that I'm very passionate about is in commercializing technology as a tool for something meaningful beyond all of us. So I'm sure a lot of people listening in, you're thinking about, which first job should I join? Should I join a startup, or should I join like massive business, or should I just join a Fortune 500 company? And honestly, there will be so many answers to so many questions. Terrence, maybe you can share a bit more about the different tips. Yeah. Okay. So because we have very little time, I'm just going to share a bit more about my personal observations. And of course, whether you're a man or woman, I do think that this is super helpful. So I'm surrounded by a lot of female founders. And the first thing that a lot of my mentors tell me is, it's not about you being a woman, which makes men hit on you. It's how you conduct yourself and whether you carry yourself with confidence. Terrence, is this page. Yeah, so I think a lot of women worry about us being a woman at work, but actually what is more important is focusing about what makes you a good person at work. So when you focus on being confident and delivering results, that's actually a lot more powerful than saying that, I'm a woman, I'm a female founder, and only 3% businesses in the world last year got funded. Female-led businesses were funded by venture capitalists in the world. And then secondly, I think a lot of my female friends do talk about how they often feel like they're being talked over at work. So for example, I have a friend who is in Dubai, and she's like the only Asian lawyer surrounded by a bunch of guys who are very patriarchy driven. And what she asserts a lot is like, if as long as she's the best lawyer in the room, that's all that matters. Because there will always be guys who would say like, bring me that like cup of tea, can you do this, can you do that? And even for me myself, just this morning, I had someone trying to use like boobs as a metaphor of an example of how direct he can be. And what I did was, I didn't get angry, I didn't get mad. All I did was, after we ended our business meeting, I just told him that, hey, you did this, it's not okay, please not do it in future. And he was like, okay, I'm sorry, and then noted, and we moved on. Because the reality is that we are all human and we all make mistakes. And if someone says something that crosses you the wrong way, it is very important to correct them, but be very objective and calm about it. The third point is important. So I think on one hand, I'm giving very conflicting advice, because on one hand, I'm saying that, hey, there are so many things in the world out there supporting women in tech, female founders, so many, girls who code. There's so many resources in the world out there who are encouraging female entrepreneurship. But at the same time, what I'm really emphasizing right now is also that you have to focus on the results you can deliver and what makes you unique, either as like an engineer, either as a product manager, or either as a founder, whatever it is. Because all these results ultimately still matter way more than like, branding yourself as just a female founder or female coder. It's not an easy game, but we're already very lucky because we are paved, so many feminists before us have paved the road for us to be where we're at, right? Like our mothers or our parents' generations, like the working women of the world in the past have led to a very vibrant world, which I really believe that we're very lucky to be part of. Like, for example, I would say like actively look for female role models who you want to build your careers upon. Look for people who you trust, look for people who you admire and reach out to them. I think this is the fastest way that you as a woman in tech can grow quickly. Because in reality, there'll be a lot of bad people that you'll meet, and a lot of them might not even be male. They can be a lot of like not very nice women around also. So I would say like focus on really the good things that keep you going, right? If you're passionate about technology, if you're passionate about engineering, if you're passionate about like building tools that people love and use, find that, because the world is full of like so many resources right now that you can just like search on Google and, add people on LinkedIn, ask them out for coffees. There are powerful people like Anastasia and like Sharala who will always be willing to connect. So I would say like, it's fine if you're a woman in tech, just focus on being humble and on delivering like strong results. And honestly, that will speak for itself. Yeah, okay, time for Wei Qing to work her magic.
Thank you, Anastasia, Sharada, and Yihui. It was very encouraging and inspiring, whatever you shared. And the amazing work that you are doing. I'm so excited to learn more about what each of you are doing. So right now, we'll kickstart our panel discussion. feel free to add in any comments or questions you have for the speakers in the chat, and we'll answer them right away. Yeah. But to start this panel, perhaps we can start with a question. Just now, Anastasia and Charlotte spoke about how women should embrace STEM. Yeah, at the same time, we often have some self-limiting beliefs that we are not as good as men. And what are some of the self-limiting biases that you have as you go into the tech world?
I can volunteer some information since I did engineering with the full encouragement of my mom, as you all know. I do think we are designed differently, and I always felt when I was doing engineering, I did electrical. I think Terrence is one of them, and I felt a lot of things for me. Other than I was very good in theory, practically I felt I wasn't a natural. Guys could troubleshoot a little bit more. It just, it annoyed me. It came much more natural to them. But what was fantastic, I thought, was being a minority in the men's world. You do get a lot of help. Let's not undermine that. There's always a soft spot for us, and I think recognizing what we should improve and learning from it is what I got out of it. I don't think so. Of course, we are brought up saying girls need to do this, boys will do that. I grew up like that, right? Anna can do this, you cannot. Okay? There's always, oh, you're going to get married off. You need to, learn to cook. You will have someone. And this is real. I have to talk about it. I'm married to a European now. So, but I think it was fantastic that I was limited to say this is what I cannot do, because then what I did is the more my mom said I cannot do, the more I wanted to do. I had to teach myself. I had to fight for it. And today we're in the world that, I don't feel like I have to fight for it because I always have done that. So I think it's interesting to hear when you say that. We limit ourselves. I think I say this quite a bit, right? Women dream for their children. Women dream for their family. Women dream for their husbands. Why in God's name we don't dream for ourselves? Right? So I always say that. My mom always dreamt for us. And I think it's important that we realize that it is not selfish for us to dream for ourselves and not limit ourselves, because what example you set, your daughter is going to look at that. So I think it's important. I mean, I let the other amazing ladies to give their viewpoint, but I know that that's what are the limit. You can limit yourself as a minority in every way you want, but that's not the world is looking at.
I just would like
Ladies,
to add more. Thank you. It was a very great answer actually to that question. I just want to add that actually the limiters started from the mindset, and firstly we need to work with our neuron to change the way of how we start behaving. And I mean, it's no borders what actually the women can reach in a career development, and what is the limit? It's no limit. Limit is just in the brain, in a mindset. And firstly, if we want to jump into another result, we need to work in our conscious mind, to prepare the roadmap, to prepare the direction, and how in a small step we start changing. And for me, it's not limit. It's not about the limited. It's limited can be a mind, and we need to work with the mind first to look differently, to look from different perspective to any problem in a career development or any development that we have, even in a family. I'm also as a mom. I have a kid, and my kid actually he's still very small, and sometimes it's difficult to balance. I would say to be a mother and to be the same like entrepreneur, but the balancing and no limit, it's really helping you to reach and maximize your success and attract more conscious people who is really helping you. And it's not about also identity or it's a men or women. No, it's not about men or women. We are equal. We have a talk. Yes, probably the logical and how we resolve issue is different, but we still equal. You know, and this is most important. It's about the collaboration.
What about you, Yihui? Have you faced any self-limiting biases?
Yeah, I think there are two specific ones that that's on my mind. Firstly, I think a lot of women deal with something they call imposter syndrome. So like I think like everyone here will be quite familiar with how I think a lot of not say men, but I think like if you compare say a lot of like senior managers that I meet at work, you know, they might be like C-suite level at like large companies. And a lot of the guys actually like when they're presenting their content, sometimes it's not very substantiated, but they're just very confident. And I'm very used to seeing like some female like leaders are over apologizing for their content. Like, you know, even though their content is like rock solid and like very detailed or very well thought out. And that's something that plagues I think a lot of my friends also, because I think a lot of us like what Anastasia said, I think a lot of us think that we should be perfect, right? Like we define ourselves by the relationships we have around us and the roles we think we play for people. Like I want to be a good mom, a good wife, a good boss, a good everything. But that's very scary, because what happens is like you let all these roles and all these expectations cripple yourself, and you're not focusing on what makes you unique and specific to either your role or your professional voice. The second thing that I'm also thinking of right now is one of the mistakes I thought I had as a manager is I think my team needed me to be a very nurturing, motherly voice. Like I think sometimes people project different expectations on a female boss compared to a male boss. Like if a male boss says that, hey bro, this is you fucked up, like why? And it's like, oh okay, he's just being very direct. But if a woman says like, hey sis, you screwed up, they're like, oh my gosh, she's such a bitch. It's very, very, very common. And the scary part is a lot of women go into the office thinking that they want to be liked over being respected, because being respected means they're making tough choices, which won't be popular. And being liked means that you might end up taking things the easiest way out, but it might be detrimental to the entire business or the entire team or entire project. This is an absolute trap that we need to watch out for as women, because you learn, right? You learn how people talk. You have to like calibrate your like style, because ultimately people still have expectations regardless of how you look. Could be like, you know, you're Indian or you're like Asian or you're like Caucasian. Could be like, you know, you're good looking or bad looking, you dress as a specific way. People will always have preconceptions. And being a woman is part of that game. And you can choose to dress down, you can choose to speak differently, but it's up to you to eventually find a style that works for you. And honestly, like having like female role models might be the best way to figure that out. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think sometimes we women just overthink things? You know, we just overthink. I always tell girls or, you know, other females, you do you, own it, right? I'm a bitch boss. I own it.
You think so? I think I'm a bit like on the fence, because on one hand, like everyone does say that boss, you have a resting bitch face, which I do have.
Yeah.
But because no one says like, oh, you don't tell a guy, right? Hey, you have a resting, like, I don't know what's the equivalent of a male bitch, but yeah, face. Yeah. I don't know. I think I feel conflicted, because I also feel like guys don't really care that much about what people think of them. They're like
Yeah.
I think what I admire in some of like my friends, guys or girls, is like they know what they want. They just like stick to it, and then they just like, you know, if it means like they're steamrolling over a lot of egos, that's fine. And I feel like being an Asian woman, sometimes you're also conditioned to be a bit more like, you know, people pleasing, or trying to like smoothen things out and mediate a bit more. So I think that happened to a lot of people I know who became very passive aggressive in the end, which is also not very healthy. Yeah, because I feel like ultimately it's not about our gender. It's really about, you know, the person we want to shape ourselves to become, right? Like Anastasia loves like AI, and like her engineering background makes her very like strong and like geography. I can't remember, like geopolitical mapping, geolocation mapping. Yeah, and then like for you, you have a very strong niche in like data science. And for me specifically, like I don't want to be remembered as a female founder. I want to be remembered as just a founder, like someone who like, you know, generates profit and revenue. Yeah, so I feel like that's super important to think about, because being a woman is just who you're born with, right? That's your gender, it's on your like IC. But I feel like you have to decide for yourself if you are going to be more than just a female founder. But that's just my point of view, of course, and I might be wrong. Yeah.
I really liked what Hui said about finding what makes us unique.
Yeah, like screw sexism. We have no time. Just focus on like generating results. Yeah.
Yes. But I would think that sometimes when there are many external voices, it can be quite difficult to find that strength within you. So, personally, do you have like a mantra that you say to yourself to get things going through the tough times?
I can go first. So I think like there are two things that I do quite a bit. I've met a lot of people who weren't very nice to me when I started my business, and I always thought to myself that success is the best revenge, in the sense that like because everyone will have a point of view about you, no matter how good you are or how shitty you are, and it's very scary if you define yourself by what people say about you, right? Then when people are like mean towards me, I'm just like, hey, I'm just gonna be so freaking successful that like they can't touch me. The other thing is also about I think it's very important to know the person you want to become, because I think a lot of founders I've met, they end up walking a certain route, like they call a lot of PR. They're not talking a lot about their personal life, whereas a lot of male founders focus a lot on the P&L and their product and their business. And it's no one's right or wrong in that regard, but if that's not a style that's authentic to you, then don't do it. But if it's something that's authentic to you, then like fight for it. Yeah. I don't know,
Actually,
Sharala, Anastasia.
I have like 5 actually life hacks that you can find strengths to get through through the difficult time. I think the first is the sport. Is do any physical activities, because it's all related with the hormones. When you do any sport or any exercising, it's give you a lot of endorphins, give you a lot of like oxytocin. You just in a very, I would say, physical methods, feeling more stronger. And on top of that, it should be 8 hours sleep per day as well. It's also very important. If anyone reads the book that is related with how we are sleep, it's a great book that I recommend everyone. It's related with our routine, also very important. Be hunger in a new knowledge. Be open to learn I would say in a high speed, because the world is changing so fast, and we need to be always aware of new technology, of new process, of new waving of technologies that is just around us, and to be hungry to learn new skills. Also, that give inner strength. I think it's like you believe in yourself, and you take an action. You take small action, and you can measure that action. You can do a simple step. For instance, if you want to create a habit, you have 21 days actually to try to do it, and then to see if it's really help you or not. We can start with a point A. We start doing in 21 days, where actually the neurons start changing, and then we can see the result, and we can measure what was in the last 21 days, what we reach. Also, I think very important is to look for inspiration. What is inspire, and what is really give you like, wow, I would like to be like that. To look for inspiration around, to look at inspiration from the people that you know. And the last one, I think it's creating conscious networking and community with the people that you can share the knowledge, the skills, the problem, You can brainstorming together with the people, and with this networking and with the community, you will feel that you're in the same environment, and everyone also understands you, like you are not alone, and you can share the problem.
My God, reaching, I was gonna leave the room. These women are way too focused. This is fantastic. They have point one, point two. I feel like, I come from a la la land. I think, it's amazing to have those tips, right? I'm a bit more, I think I'm an entrepreneur, always thinks that I see the glass half full. I remember that in 2017, before I won the EY Women Entrepreneur Award, one of the judges stopped me and said, Shah, you remember this. You're a minority in three forms. You're a minority as a woman, and you're minority in tech, and your minority is being an Indian. And I remember looking at it and go like, thank God I didn't know that, because I would have never started if that's already in my mind, right? So, being a CEO, a founder, regardless if you're female or not, it's very lonely, right? And I think you just said the best way, right? Until 3% globally, we get invested. Until today, I find it difficulty because it's boys' club, it's networking. I'm building a business. If I were to network, that's another business altogether. So I struggle with that. But having said that, I think one of the key things, I think one of the first books when I started my business I read was A Beer Mat Entrepreneur. If y'all can find that book, I think it's fantastic, where they talk about the pillars that you need to start a business, which one of the key things that kept me going on all the shitty days that we have had is finding a good mentor, right? In different phases in life, you'll have different mentors. Mentors shouldn't be offended that someone I had 20 years ago that I now is a good friend, but might not be applicable to what I do today and what I want to talk about. Be it, being a mother with the children, or, business in which phase you are. So I also talk about women in the workforce should be a mentor to another woman, right? Or you should go up to another woman, because as much as I would like to say we are not the kindest to our own kind when it comes to work, because there's only one of us in the top 20 and the rest of them are men. And sometimes our insecurity, and I would want to address that, because it's a conscious thing that I do to myself. Stop it. You need to support another woman. It's sometimes it just kicks in without, I have to make a conscious biasness to look at mentoring, look out for other women to mentor, because guys much easily come to me, but women is someone I go and seek out, that, hey, want to have coffee with me, and talk about what they do in work. And I think it's a conscious thing that I have to do that. And girls need to have role models. More women like us should go out and talk. I mean, we have Oprah, we have Michelle Obama. I have a good friend who told me that they're so far away, Shah, right? They come from a different world. But when you talk about coming from a small town, how my mom would think, girls should be, I relate. Okay, so I think a lot of us have to go out and talk, because girls need to see more women being successful and addressing things that normally we don't talk about. That's how I think I cope. And yes, which are the days that I feel like, I give it myself one day, Wei that I can cry, mourn, bitch about it, talk about it, then, rub it off next day, it's a new day. It's yeah, I like that. Adventure is the best way to get back. But yeah, we all should be allowing ourselves one day feel shitty, and then next day move on.
Actually, Shah, I'm quite curious. Do you mind sharing a bit more about how you feel like women can sometimes be insecure and like maybe like take other women down? Or in your case, you feel like you have to actively look for women to mentor as opposed to like just like male mentees?
Yeah. It's female mentors. I had great female mentors, but I do realize when when there's not many spots out there for female, the mentoring stops at a point. You know what I mean? Because there's not but I also feel in a data science world, female want to be geeks. They just want to be behind the PC. They want to do modeling. They want to be an analyst. Like some of the mentors that I've looked at. Why don't you want to do things like change management in the data science world? Why is just modeling is what you're interested? Part of data science, data literacy, which is part of the digital transformation, you need to go and change all organization to something else. So women in the tech background think that I just want to do my job and I want to go home. I don't want the drama that comes with the management skills, right? And then you talk to them. I don't know how do I say it. A lot of women think that, oh, I'm just strong. I'm just mentally strong. I maybe I am. Maybe I'm made this way. But no, there are many days that I just wish somebody told me I could have done it differently, and I would have skipped all the years of painful way of finding out. Somebody just have told me that you could have done this, you could have done that, and I think that a lot of girls, what you don't know, you don't know. So that's what I felt, that a few women who decided to invest their time on me, I was going to pay forward. So I go and actively source these women out.
Wow,
Or men
this is very
who
interesting.
yeah.
This is quite relevant to one of the audience question about if you have to start your career again in AI, how will you do it differently?
I'm like, my career just started. Give me 3 more years and I'll give you an answer.
No, that's a self-limiting belief.
No, as
Yeah.
in, okay, I think you guys go first. You guys are more qualified.
I would say just try more things and not to be, how to say, aware of its. You make mistake. Just allow you to make mistake, and it's okay not to be so perfect and tiny with each detail, with knowledge. Just allow to be actually an imperfect version of yourself when you are jumping in a career in AI, and allow to make mistake.
Yeah. I think this question is relevant regardless you're going to change your career in AI, right? This is why I talked about 150 million jobs to be created that we don't know what it is. I am a trained engineer who became an entrepreneur. No clue about finance, no clue about HR, although I'm supposedly very good with maths, right? And this is what we tell people. What you do today is not relevant tomorrow. So you constantly have to learn and improve and change. So a change career in AI is relevant to staying ahead of the game. Like I tell young graduates that your degree today doesn't guarantee you a job tomorrow. Okay, so Asians have this thing about I'm born a doctor, I'll die a doctor. I say doctors who don't work with technology will not be relevant for the future. Teachers who don't work with technology will not be relevant tomorrow. So I think it's so important that this question is so applicable in every level. Now, and what's the future going to bring for this digital economy? So you shouldn't think it as restarting. It's just an evolution. Okay.
So, yeah, and like a lot of it is about unlearning also, like unlearning a lot of biases, right? Because AI itself is so vast. Like there's like NLP, ML, and like so many forms of generative art, which my business is looking into. And the honest answer is I wouldn't have changed anything because I think what was interesting to me when I spoke to a lot of like founders in AI or even like VCs or like angel investors, a lot of them actually said that it was a good thing that we weren't chasing after a trend. We were trying to find out meaningful problems to solve at scale. And that's what technology is, right? It is not a silver bullet to change lives, but it amplifies our decisions and it amplifies the good and bad things that comes with those decisions. So I still am learning how to code. I don't code. But I do a lot of product design and I do a lot of sales and BD, even though I still wish that I was an artist. But I think like that also gives you a very different perspective in terms of building a product, because ultimately I think we are living in a very human world, and what AI wants to build, in my personal point of view, is I want to use AI to make us more human, to make us like, you know, talk better, communicate better, have comics and things that make people laugh and smile. And I think like that's something that I think I use to comfort myself when I don't code.
Right. I mean, you shouldn't, right? Because think about it. All this automation at one point, if AI is automated, then what are you going to do, right? Then you evolve. You evolve. What you're doing is the soft part, the thinking part, the human part. Doctors will make decisions based on data that's given to them. They don't need to code. Correct.
Yeah,
This
it's
is
actually
what
like
the
AI
world is
ethics
going to
also,
move
right?
towards, though. So I think it's fascinating that, you know, what you guys are
I
doing.
Yeah, because there's also like training models, and how are you doing training models? You have to train them based on how humans think. So it's like same.
Oh, we can figure
Um,
that out. I'll be the happiest. If I can figure
yeah,
out how
let's
I
go
think, it'll be
generative like
so
learning
easy to
model.
cascade it to my team.
Okay, yeah. All right, Rachel. Thanks, Raphael. Great question.
Great question. Before we end off today's session, perhaps each of the speaker would like to do a short closing remark. Anastasia,
what again?
I can give a short closing remark, whether it's to encourage females out there listening to us, or yeah.
Yes, I mean, my like last message that I want to give for the audience is don't afraid to move into AI if you have a passion. Ask more people that you know. Ask more questions to the right people. Find a mentor. Find a coach who can guide you with your milestone and what you're going to reach in the future. You know, measure your result, what you've been in the past, only with yourself. Not compare yourself with anyone else that in the same industry. Try to communicate. Try to collaborate globally, not only with the people that just in your neighbor, but collaborate globally. Ask question. Be humble, and the door will start opening.
What about Sharala?
Oh, okay. My last few words. I think it's important that women would be in this part of the world will be the highest. The probability of them losing jobs to Industry 4.0 is we will be the one that women will be the one that will be affected more because of the nature of the job. And I believe that a lot of women who are in this session are already made that difference, paved the path for them. And I think it's important that we realize how do we stay relevant, stay in the workforce. My biggest issue in this part of the world is not women being in STEM, women staying in the workforce. If you go to university, 70% of the students are female. I think we have no issues women going into STEM. I think it's the biggest issue is we are staying in the workforce. And I would really, really talk about that more. Women, please stay in workforce. You have 2 kids, 3 kids, you know, successful kids come from successful parents, not a parent. I think, you know, and I also have another nasty one. I say monkey see, monkey do. So monkey needs to see you being very ambitious and successful. And I think that's so important that women try to reach out to us. I think any one of us, I'm available on LinkedIn. I'm known to be able to respond to people quickly. Get into CAT's AI platform to get yourself upskill. It's not about restarting, it's about evolving and staying relevant. And I think that's the mantra and the preaching that all the 3 of us are trying to get, you know, women to see.
I think for me, it would just be So whoever who's listening, male or female, young or old, I think focus a lot on who you want to be rather than like what you think you should be. Meaning that the world is an unequal place with unequal opportunities. It does reward for hard work, it does reward for intelligence, but ultimately it rewards for value creation. So I do think that Charlotte and Anastasia rightly pointed out a lot of it is about personal branding, and it's also about finding like powerful role models to learn from. And I think that is potent advice, because when you're passionate about building, you forget that there's a massive world out there that you have to sell to and talk to. So learning how to speak to people, learning how to learn from them, and like adapting different people's styles, be it a mentor, an advisor, a client, an advocate. There'll be so many people out there who will be willing to help you as long as you reach out to them, and then like put in effort to like grow yourself and learn and do better. We'll all make mistakes. We'll all fail. The product of Asian conditioning is that you will treat yourself a lot harsher when you fail, male and women equally. But there is a long journey ahead, and I think one thing I would have done differently is to enjoy the journey a lot more rather than just like climbing and slogging. And like you're all still young. There's still so much to do.
Right.
And
The goalpost moves, right? Every time you reach a
Right.
goal, your
Yeah.
goalpost moves. And I think that's so well said, because it was my husband who told me, can you stop and smell the rose? Like one success, stop, right? Just because I'm like, okay, we're done, next, right? And I think that's so important.
Yeah, I also feel like even my AI engineers, they're like, oh, I can't do business. I have too much to follow up on AI. So much is changing and evolving all the time. And they're all like, so I really feel like what is more important is to really figure out the problems you enjoy solving and stick to it. Yeah. And I believe that the world rewards you well when you solve good problems. Yeah.
You got to love what you do. I think people have to find that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
I'm
think
taking a thunder. I'm sorry, Rachel. Yeah.
I think is actually the key. Is you need to find what you really love and what you have a passion about, and people can feel your vibe. People can feel your energy. Actually, they will be attracted by your energy because they can just, wow, this is like so amazing, and I just want to bring more knowledge, or I would like to learn more from that person.
Right.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Yihui, Anastasia, and Shala. I really enjoyed this conversation, and we could have been longer. I'll definitely reach out to all of you after this session.
Sure.
Thank you, Terrence.
So,
Yeah. Add us on LinkedIn.
Yes. Welcome back, Terrence.
Yes. Thank you for the amazing sharing. You have definitely given a lot of insightful advice, all three of you. So just now, Sharala has spoken a lot about finding a good mentor. So at AI Space, we have a whole community here for you to we support each other, and we will be able to support you as well as you go on your AI journey. Feel free to join us. Scan the QR code now to be added to our platforms. Right. With this, we have came to the end of today's event. We thank you for your attention, and we look forward to seeing you at our future events.
Thanks,
thank you
everyone.
so much.
Thank you, everyone. I had so much fun.